Now, if you've ever wondered how impossible it is to get into college, be admitted, and stay there, this book will be the answer and your new best friend. Who Gets In and Why? A Year Inside College Admissions by Jeffrey Selingo. He is here with us today, a New York Times bestseller and notable here. Let's talk about this book. You've spent years in the educational system. Talk to me about this book and what can we expect when we open up the pages.
So I wanted to try to answer this question that I was hearing from parents all the time about how difficult it is to get into college, especially Gen X parents now have Gen Z kids, and they kept telling me, oh, they would never get into college these days. And the book aims to answer that question. Is it much harder? The answer is actually no, at most schools. But I went inside the process at 3 institutions, Davidson, Emory, and right here in Seattle, the University of Washington, and spent a year following the admissions process at those 3 institutions, plus a group of high school students who were applying to institutions that year. And I also followed what I call the influencers in the process, the testing agencies, the rankers, and others who have a lot of influence over the process that most parents and students don't even know operate in the background. And the goal here is to bring some transparency to a process that for most applicants and most families is a black box, right? When you press send on that application, you have no idea what happens to it, and I try to bring some semblance to what does happen to it when it arrives at the college.
Right. You know, over the last couple of years, it's been in the news lately that some students bought their way into college and didn't earn their way into college. Does this book address those issues and how they can really get in there and stay?
It does. I mean, we tend to think of higher education as a meritocracy, and to be honest with you, it never was and probably never will be. Colleges and universities have priorities that are delivered through the admissions office, whatever those priorities might be. And in fact, you know, the Varsity Blues scandal was at the center of one of those priorities, which is college athletics. Every year, all of these colleges, 20 sports, 25 sports, 30 sports, they have to fill all of those roster spots. And that's one of the reasons why Rick Singer, in this case, found that side door, because he knew they had to fill those roster spots. But it goes across a number of different ways that colleges build a class and shape a class. And what I remind applicants in this process, and it's not to give them more anxiety, but it's to explain that college admissions in many ways is about the institution and not necessarily about the student. And if you enter the process knowing that, you're going to be much more relaxed about it in the end.
What do you think is the most valuable piece of information in this book that a parent and or student can take away?
I think it's how institutions use what they send in the application. What do they spend the time on? Mostly transcripts, grades, and the courses you took in high school. What don't they spend as much time on? Those essays that
I was about to say, how important is the essay? How important is that?
But they don't spend as much time as people I think they do, right? Yeah. So I think it's just giving you a sense of what is happening inside that process. In some ways, control what you can control, and there's a lot of things out of your control. You know, do your best and let the chips fall where they may. And what I hope to do with this book is to lower the temperature, lower the anxiety on what should be a process of self-reflection, a process of discovery about what you want to do. You know, college is a staging ground for life, but it's one of many, and it's a place where you're supposed to learn and grow and meet people. It's not about just checking off that box and saying, I got in, and then moving on to that next box, which is the first job. It's a place of discovery and meeting people that could influence you for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. I remember checking that box and then hitting submit. Well, I don't think back in the day it was sitting.
Yes,
you'd send it. Well, you have to send it in the mail, I guess, right? But whatever the case may be, that is a moment of anxiety. Like, oh my gosh, am I going to get in? And it's devastating sometimes when they open up the envelope or they open up the email. Thank you, but no thanks. How do you handle that? What's your best advice to a student or parent to help handle the rejection of not getting in?
Right. Well, you have to remember that this is not a statement on your life when you get that, right? This is just a statement on their priorities and what they just needed at that point,
stuff.
Right? The other thing is that if you're going to apply to multiple colleges and you have a nice balanced list, that is a nice mix of, in terms of your academic fit, your social fit, your financial fit, you're going to have a couple of good choices at the end of this admissions process. And I think for some students, they get so caught up in the name brands and that sticker on the back of the car and what it says about them and their families. And I get it, right? We live in a country of, we're aspirational, right? We want to do the best for us and for our kids. But the best doesn't necessarily mean the most selective. It means the place where you're going to grow and learn and meet the mentors for the rest of your life. And that, by the way, is not just 10 colleges or the top 20 colleges. There are hundreds and thousands of great places out there where I think more students can find their fit. So the key when you get that denial letter is to not think of it as a statement on what you did in your life up to that point.
That's good advice. I like that a lot. Our final question here with you, Rob, is I just want to ask, I'm sorry, Jeffrey, I want to ask you a question that really doesn't pertain to the book, right? So are you ready?
Yep, go for it.
All right. So if you had a theme song every time you walked into the room for the rest of your life, what would be your theme song?
Wow, if I had a theme song for the rest of my life.
Every time you walked into the room, what would be your theme song? Did I stump you?
I think you stumped me. I think you stumped me.
Really?
Yeah.
You can't think of a song?
I don't know what would be my theme song, though. I don't know. I'm a child of the 80s. I love the 80s music. I'm about to go see Genesis, Phil Collins, in a couple of weeks in DC, probably in the air tonight. Yeah. Right?
Okay.
Kind of coming on with the drums.
I love it.
Might be good.
In the air tonight.
Yep.
Okay, that's
We'll go
your
for
theme
that.
song. Unfortunately, we don't have the music overhead that I could play it right now, but I thank you for stopping by. Now tell us where we can find the book.
You can find it at your local bookstore. Of course, we're here in Seattle, so you can also find it on Amazon. But anywhere books are sold, I'm a big fan of local bookstores. So if you go to your local bookstore, they don't have it, you can also find it in your local library as well.
And Jeffrey, you're going to be here at the conference signing your books, correct?
Yes, I'll be signing them tonight during the opening reception.
Awesome. Thank you for stopping by,
Great.
Jeffrey.
It was great to be here. Thank you.
Who gets in and why? A year inside college admissions, all right? We'll see you soon. Thank you.